What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be going over a trading tool and a type of candlestick called Heikin Ashi that top traders use when they're momentum trading, and how you can utilize this candlestick pattern to identify trends, reversals. Spotting the reversal is absolutely crucial, and this is actually going to be really helpful. So we're going to go over a special kind of way to analyze, or kind of a special pattern that develops with Heikin Ashi Candles, and we'll also talk about what they are, how to use them in your own trading, and if that's a good fit for you. A lot of people right now are looking at momentum trading, more day trading, more trading momentum. What stocks have momentum? As the markets for a lot of high growth small caps and tech have been really shaky the past couple of months after their crazy runs December, January, and February. So with that said, let's dive into what is Heikin Ashi in the first place. So right now we're looking at Investopedia and Heikin Ashi, a better candlestick. So the Heikin Ashi actually means average bar in Japanese. So it's a different type of candlestick pattern, and it's calculated a little bit differently. So in order to calculate, there's some different equations, I guess, in a sense, that you use to calculate the candles. So on a traditional green candle, the bottom of the candle is going to be the open, the top of the body will be the close, and then the wick gives you the range up and down below the open, below the close, that stock traded on that day or on that time frame on that candle. Now with Heikin Ashi, it's actually calculated a little bit different. And so here's the calculations. In order to get the open price of the Heikin Ashi candle, you take the open of the previous bar plus the close of the previous bar, and you divide that by 2, get the midpoint essentially. And to get the close of the Heikin Ashi candle, you take the average price of that current bar. So you essentially take the open, the high, the low, and the close, and then you divide that by 4. That gets you the close of the Heikin Ashi, and the wicks are still going to tell you how high a stock went. The wick will actually be useful to essentially, say, hey, the stock went this high. But in terms of getting the open and the close, that's how it's calculated. So, okay, cool. This is just kind of on chicken scratch. Like, well, what does it actually mean, right? At the end of the day, we got to figure out how to use it. So back to our trusty Webull platform, and you guys can see actually, so I'll show you a difference. So right now we're looking at Palantir. We can look at a couple different examples on a daily chart, and then we'll look at some daily examples, or at least an example from today from a day trade, how you could have used it to day trade, how you could use it to spot reversals. It's not the perfect indicator or the perfect candlestick. It's going to be really what fits your needs and what works best for you. Ultimately, there's no, one solution to anything, but if you like it, it could be helpful. So I personally use something called hollow candles. There's a video on the channel already going over Candlesticks 101, which is probably a really helpful video if you don't know how to use the candlesticks or don't know what they mean. Check out that video. That's a really good video. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into Heikin Ashi here today. So this is going to pretty much tell me when you have a hollow candle, that means the stock was up on that period from the open to the close, not necessarily up compared to the close the prior day, but up from the open to the close. And then the color will indicate, was it up compared to the prior day or not? So that's kind of what the color means. So it gives me a little bit more information. But going back to Heikin Ashi, for example, on Webull, up on the top, you go over to the line style section, and then you scroll all the way to the right, and there's Heikin Ashi right there. So this is really what it looks like. It looks different, right? It looks different than a normal candlestick pattern or a hollow candle pattern, and for good reason. It's really going to give you more of an idea of the average and the trend of a stock. So what we can see is that a lot of the kind of the craziness is kind of ironed out a little bit. It helps kind of average things together so you can really clearly see trends. And what we can see right now on PLTR is a clear trend and a potential trend reversal, which will lead us into now how do we use it, okay? So what we're noticing on PLTR is we go through these phases, these ups and these downs, ups and downs, and we kind of see these trends, right? Now on PLTR recently has been pulling on off, but now what are we seeing? Potentially a reversal right here, and this is actually really important. So this is today. This candle is today, so we'll see how this candle closes up on Heikin Ashi. Now, there's actually a red candle here. Yesterday was actually a very green day for PLTR, but Heikin Ashi is showing a red candle. So just because the candle's red doesn't mean that actually that stock on that time frame was down or up, right? That's the difference. You're using different averages, and like we talked about before, you're calculating based on the prior day for some of these calculations in terms of building out the candles, right? And of course, the day's not over, but what do we see right now? We see something called a doji. Now, a doji is essentially when you have indecision, okay? Buyers, sellers, you don't know who is going to win, right? And indecision is really interesting when you're at a potential reversal point, because what we see is that when a trend gets exhausted, and we saw the acceleration of the downside move on PLTR the past couple of days, the trend potentially now may get exhausted. I mean, maybe looking at a trend reversal. So how do you spot that reversal and how do you take advantage of that reversal? Now, you're not going to catch the absolute bottom, and that's one of the biggest things. You will not catch the absolute bottom, but you're potentially buying in or you're looking to go short at a better time where there's more confirmation because of Heikin Ashi Candles giving you that average. Now, so the doji is when you pretty much have even buyers and sellers on both sides. And so how you indicate that is by the wick. So we have a wick right here. See the down part of this green candle wick and the upside part? That's telling us that we have buyers to the upside, sellers to the downside, right? And buyers keep buying it up when it goes down and the sellers keep selling in when it goes up. But that's telling us there's indecision. There's no one's really winning. As of right now, we don't know who's winning the battle. We can't get a good average on who's winning. So it's kind of evening out. And we have the body as a very small piece of the candle right in the middle of that doji. Now, we actually kind of saw that indecision back up here when we saw the last trend reversal on PLTR. And that's as PLTR was coming up off a low and pushing up to a relative high. We saw those dojis indicate the trend reversal. And then boom, there comes the red. Now, what we're looking for on PLTR to really indicate that momentum back to the upside is really going to be the next candles, the next couple of days. What we want to see is we want to see solid candles that are green, right? So we want to see solid greens. And just like we saw in the last trend reversal from the upside back to the downside, we saw the tops of the candles being solid. We don't want to see too many wicks up and down. We want to see solid body, red candles now in terms of what we just saw. We saw solid red indicating the downward trend. Now we want the exact opposite. We want to see solid greens indicating to the upside move. So many traders will go into their next trade on that next candle. So right now we're seeing a doji. When you have a doji candle on the next candle, it doesn't matter the time frame. Could be the daily chart, could be the 1 day, 1 minute, and we'll look at an example from today, from a 1 minute chart from a day trade today. When you see that, that's your indication of where the stock may go. Now, if we get a solid flat green, if we get a flat bottom green come tomorrow, for example, and then we see PLTR pushing up, that is going to be the indication potentially of a trend change on PLTR. So we got a flat top red in the past, indicating a move back to the downside after a move up. Now we're looking for a flat bottom green to indicate that move back to the upside after this sell-off, okay? So that's what we're looking for in terms of Heikin Ashi, in terms of this specific trading style, in terms of this pattern, okay? Taking advantage of this method, okay? So now, let's use RMED as an example from today. Now the stock pushed on up, it fell right back on off. If you guys were on the live trading from this morning on the channel, there should be a link somewhere if you're catching this video when it came out. We actually traded the stock live. I did a couple of examples, took a small loss, took a small win, and then we had a bigger win. So it was fun. I actually made a good bit of money on this one today, and it was a fun little time. Nothing crazy in terms of share size, just having some fun. So what do we see here? Kind of a lot of craziness, and it wasn't the best stock to really kind of time that bottom, right, or time that top. It was a little bit difficult to do that, but what we saw is as time moves on, right, after the first hour or two of the market being open, we kind of see that things start to slow down and things start to work themselves out, and the trend can really be shown. And what do we see? Well, we actually saw this candle I want to point your attention to right here. Now, we have this white line as VWAP, so we had a VWAP to the north. Now, this candle was really crucial, and this was what said, hey, we're done. The move to the upside is now done, and RMED was done for the day. And it really indicated a really good short signal for those who are looking to go short. Now, we got towards 11 a.m., we got towards 11 o'clock, and at that point, right, you're getting closer to lunch hours, volume starts to fade out. Look at the volume right here. Volume is fading out towards the bottom of the screen. So RMED may be done. It has VWAP, which acts as resistance when you're below it and support when you're above it, which we are holding up roughly as support in the past. We got below VWAP, which is not a good sign in terms of a bull. If you're a bull looking to go long, it's usually a sign for shorts to start attacking. The stock is going weak, and we got that doji. Look at this doji right here. Boom. Buyers, we had sellers and buyers battling it out, and then guess what the next candle was? A flat top red, indicating that sellers were now in control, and we got that flat top red, boom, 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 and it was hammered down in the next couple of minutes. Next thing you know, we had RMED up around 560. Next thing you know, it's trading down towards $5 5 minutes later. So that was your hammer saying, hey, this stock momentum is fading out. You have resistance to the upside. You now have a doji. Buyers and sellers are trying to kind of battle it out. Who's going to win? If the buyers win, this breaks back above VWAP and it goes back potentially for a new high of the day. They did not win. Sellers come in, boom. That's your indication. And if you're long this stock, that's your indication to get out of the stock. If you're looking for this stock to potentially break back above VWAP, you're looking to buy a dip, Well, you bought the dip, but now it's your indication saying, hey, let's make sure I'm going to stop myself out of this trade. If this, after this doji, right, I'm noticing a doji is forming after the next candle. If it comes in red, flat top red, and we start seeing pressure to the downside, that's my indication to get out. Now, it's never perfect, but that could be a really great indicator for you to get in or to get out of a trade. And many times when you're looking to go long, if this was a flat bottom green that starts pushing on up to the upside, that could be a really good trend change to the upside. That can be a nice continuation to the upside after a recent dip. And you could take RMED long, and that gives you the kind of help or the guidance you need to say, hey, I now have one more factor, one more reason why I believe RMED will get back above VWAP and push to the upside. So there you go. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it gives you guys a really good signal to go long, to go short when you see those dojis, when you see those dojis forming, and when you see the moves to the upside, to the downside. Ideally, right, it's meant to help you, but it's not always going to be perfect. There's no perfect indicator. There's no perfect strategy, right? It's just a guide to help you. So if you're looking for more momentum-based trades, this is definitely a type of candlestick and a pattern that you want to familiarize yourself with so that you can start to identify a trend change. And when you're noticing stocks, even on the daily charts and even longer term looks, when you're noticing like Palantir, right, PLTR, if you notice that doji comes in and we start seeing a reversal, well, then you can probably take advantage of a good chunk of that move as long as you're paying attention. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button if you got some value out of this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.